What on earth did I just watch? Alright, so I just got done watching the Daytona 500, and man, it was a long afternoon as we were getting ready for the race. It was actually moved up an hour due to the threat of rain. We got 10 laps in. Rain came out for for like 2, 3 hours. We went out, ran 10 pace laps, came back in through the red again for another like hour and a half, 2 hours. So we ended up having like 4.5 hours of red flag coverage during the race, which then we proceeded to finally get to actually see some actual on track racing. And then we saw what on earth was all of that, because yeah, I mean, we'll get to it. We'll get to all the top finishers and whatnot, but it's one of those things that it's been like an hour or so after the stream, and I still can't comprehend what it was that I saw. Um, we obviously had the crash. We had the crash right at the end of stage one, which ended the stage. I legitimately can't even remember who was in it off the top of my head. But then right after stage one ended and we got the green flag for stage two, we have a massive crash with guys like Martin Truex Jr., Elio Castroneves, Ross Chastain, and many more getting damage in that one. Those three being knocked out of the race, literally the first lap off of the restart for stage two. I don't even think they got back around to the to have officially completed a lap in stage two. So all of them got damaged. I think Jimmy Johnson also got a piece of it in that one, but there were like 12 different cars involved in that one. And that was just insanity. So again, it was just craziness, chaos all throughout the night, especially that stage one and two, where we had the where we had stage in stage one we had the rain. In stage two we had that wreck. Then we had another wreck after that that collected up a couple of other cars. Guys like Josh Berry, Zane Smith got taken out in that one. Then we proceeded to have, and also coincidentally, all the cautions seemed to line up, unfortunately, with just about the right level, so we didn't have any pit strategy. There was one round of green flag pit stops, and it was a fuel stop right near the end of stage one because they came back from the rain delay and needed a little bit of gas to be able to make it to the checkers in stage one. But then we get into what the final stage was and a couple of big incidents I want to talk about before we get to the top finishers. First off, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Joey Logano. What was that first wreck? Because, I mean, Stenhouse made a very late block, but let's just be fully honest, and I am aware I am a Stenhouse fan. Don't kill me about this. Let's put Joey in that same situation. He makes the exact same block, and I don't want to hear anyone say that, oh no, he wouldn't. Because we all know that Joey would have made the exact same block in that situation and would not have given up room. Stenhouse did not give up the room, and arguably, maybe he should have. Again, he made the block. It was extremely late, but he did get his bumper in front of him, and he kept himself there. Then Logano, partially through not backing off sooner, but also through the fact that he had a car right on his rear bumper, ended up getting forced into the hole that really wasn't there in the first place. I mean, that's just situational awareness on both the 22 and the cars behind him. Again, not fully putting this on Joey Logano, and certainly, again, there were things Stenhouse could have done to make this less of a storyline at the end of the night. But yeah, I mean, it was just a stupid looking wreck. And again, it took out Joey Logano. It took out Kyle Busch, who was another one of my guys. So that was a stupid looking wreck. And I thought that would be the highlight of the night. Then we went and saw, with about 6 laps to go, we saw Christopher Bell get turned off a somewhat lopsided push from the 41. The 41 gave Christopher Bell a push. Bell started to get squirrely. Then the 41 gave him another push, and Christopher Bell just lost it, collecting up himself. I believe Shane Van Gisbergen got caught up in that one, along with Carson Hocevar and a host of other cars as well. And most notably, Ryan Preece went for another insane Daytona flip. I mean, what? It was 2 years ago that he went up and over at Daytona due to the grass, and now the smooth back, and now the smooth back straightaway sends him up into the air. And again, I think we are extremely lucky that Ryan Preece was not injured in that incident, because I think you throw that car around like that 90 other times, I think it comes back with an injury about 85 times out of 90, or I guess closer to 90 out of 100 times. We ended up seeing an injury on that one. So, again, thankful that Ryan Preece was not hurt in that, but man, that was a scary crash. And then we get to that, because that restart led to overtime. And that overtime period led to the 41 of Cole Custer. What on earth were you thinking? I mean, the 41 went up the track to try and pass Denny Hamlin, and at the time race leader, I believe it was Denny Hamlin and what's his name, Austin Cindric. So he goes to the outside trying to go 3 wide, then realizes that he's probably going to lose momentum because nobody really went with him. So he tries to jump back down in line, where Byron, getting pushed by, I believe it was Chase Briscoe at the time, was basically being forced in to fill the gap that he had just vacated by moving up to the top line, and just comes down and completely clears himself off the nose of, I believe it was William Byron. Again, I haven't seen a great replay that shows this. I know that the footage exists because I've seen the still photo from it. I just haven't seen the video footage yet. But yeah, he just comes down, clears himself, takes out himself. Or no, sorry, it wasn't off of the nose of William Byron. It was off the nose of Chase Briscoe. Byron sneaks by on the top side, but yeah, he ends up wiping out himself and two of the race's heavy favorites. Yeah, again, Denny Hamlin and Austin Cindric both getting wiped out, along with several other drivers. Austin Dillon, Corey LaJoie, who was having a great run, many other drivers. Kyle Larson getting involved in that one too. It was just a pile of race cars, and again, it was just one of those unnecessary moves. You didn't need to make that one, Cole Custer. Honestly, if you held your line, you probably get pushed by William Byron and have a good shot to win this race at the end. But ultimately, you second guessed yourself, tried to come back down, and the spot was filled. So again, we'll get to a bunch of that, but I just wanted to talk about some of those wrecks because again, it was a crazy night, and yeah, we'll get to that with the when we go ahead and put up the top finishers over here. So let's go ahead and look at that, and that feels really weird to see. William Byron winning the Daytona 500 in very similarly weird fashion with a last lap crash. And this is where I'm going to get into the actual finish of this race. Because again, William Byron coming around to complete the race was an insanely, just an insane reaction as to everything that happened that I just mentioned with the whole Cole Custer thing. But William Byron just sneaks by on the outside and ends up with a race win. Now, something that was definitely different, and I think that NASCAR was basically trying to react to the fans' response over the week about them being upset about the timing of some of these cautions coming out, like in Dual Race 2, where they threw the caution mere feet before the drivers crossed the start finish line, and ultimately it ended up changing the result of the race win from an Eric Jones race win to an Austin Cindric race win. Then I believe it was either the Truck or Xfinity Series race also had a caution late that ended up ending the race under yellow. So I think this was NASCAR trying to react to the fans, and in my opinion, I think they overreacted to the fans in trying to give them what they think the fans wanted, and ultimately they let William Byron and Tyler Reddick race it back to the line, but I don't think either driver actually knew they were racing to the line, so they were basically half pedaling it down the front stretch, it looked like, as it didn't look like they were going at full speed. So William Byron does get the win. Tyler Reddick coming up second. Again, both these drivers basically William Byron kept himself in position all night. Tyler Reddick was in and around the top 10 to 15, but never really broke into that top 5 conversation. Byron broke into the top 5, even led some laps before the end of the race. I think both of them very much deserve to have good finishes, and again, definitely helped by the fact that there were 2 big wrecks right near the end that took out a lot of the race favorites: Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, Austin Cindric, who was having an amazing day. And you will not hear me say many great things about Austin Cindric, but again, he had an amazing day. Yeah, but Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, those were 3 of the heavy favorites coming into today. Then we get to talk about a certain guy who is third on this list, Jimmer Johnson. Jimmy Johnson going out here and finishing third. His best finish by far in the next gen era. I think it's his first top 20 in the next gen era. It might even be his first top 25 in the next gen era, but he comes home third. And oh man, if Jimmy had gotten that win tonight, you would say it would be electric, and the social media after the fact would be insane. But yeah, so Jimmy Johnson coming home third, though, a great feel good story for him. I hope that we see him back next year and get it, and he gets another shot to maybe actually contend for this win, because he did not run anywhere near third all day, but managed to get up near the front when it mattered. Average running position of a 27.6. Certainly accentuates the fact that he was not there most of the night, but got there when it counted. Chase Briscoe in fourth. The pole sitter comes home inside the top 10, and again, he was one of those that he just fought his way through what was a gnarly crash on that last lap, and again, Briscoe was able to pull his way out of that one. So again, Briscoe able to go ahead and get that one, fourth place. Good job on him. John Hunter Nemechek in fifth. He ran very well all night. In fact, a lot of the Toyotas ran fairly well throughout the race, and obviously, you guys can tell there are 4 of them in a row in the top 5. So yeah, Toyota had a pretty good night, and they were building for a really good night if they could have just figured out how to stop getting if they could just figure out how to get in line together rather than because they just kept jumping out of line and trying to reorganize themselves or something. Because it's like as soon as they finally got Denny, Riley Herbst, and Jones in a line with Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick popped out of line, or John Hunter Nemechek would pop out of the line, and it's like if you guys could have just gotten all of your cars together and gotten on the same page, you probably could have won this race somewhat handily and probably seen either a Denny Hamlin, a Riley Herbst, or maybe even an Eric Jones Daytona 500 win, which I think a couple of those scenarios a lot more favorable than others. Alex Bowman, after the disappointment last year with the photo finish that everybody looked at every angle trying to figure out if he actually won the Daytona 500, this time he comes home with a very quiet 6th place finish. He did get up and lead a couple of laps there, led 11 laps on the day. Very good day for Alex Bowman, but ultimately a fairly quiet one overall on the books. Again, he made some noise, but all in all, at the end of the race, he was just kind of there. Ryan Blaney, another driver that I think had a very good day. He was up in the mix with his Penske teammates. A lot of the day, he was on the back bumper of the 2 car of Austin Cindric, or on the back bumper of the 22 of Logano. Logano winning stage 1. Austin Cindric was in position to win stage 2, but then Ryan Blaney made the last lap pass on him in stage 2. So Ryan Blaney comes away with stage 2 victory, despite the fact that Cindric led the vast majority. I think about 40 or 50 of the laps that Cindric led were actually in stage 2, which for a 65 lap stage to lead 40 or 50 of those laps is insane. And to lead that many laps and not win the stage is even crazier. So again, Austin Cindric, I kind of mentioned it earlier, but he ran a phenomenal race. He ran the kind of race that I think would absolutely make for a very deserving Daytona 500 winner, which is again high praise coming from me, because I am certainly one of many people who questioned him after his Daytona 500 win that he did get, being fairly Mickey Mouse-ish, coming out of nowhere, possibly forcing Bubba below the line. Again, they didn't penalize him for it, but yeah. So all of that happening during his 500. Again, this one, it felt like he had earned a shot to try and win it at the end, and ultimately just got wrecked coming through the stuff. Then we get to Dale Jr. and Junior Motorsports. Justin Allgaier drove that number 40 car all the way up into the top 10, and he had that car in and around for anywhere between like 7th and 15th almost all night. Was in and around a lot of the crashes, managed to come out with a top 10 at the end of the day, which is a great finish for him. And I'm very happy to see Justin Allgaier be able to go ahead and get this one. Again, a top 10 for that Junior Motorsports team. I just hope that this is not the last we've seen of Junior Motorsports in the Cup Series. And given the way they ran in both their dual race and in tonight's Daytona 500, while we might not see them later on this year, although I think I would love to see that car. I mean, could you imagine the roar of a Junior Motorsports entry at Talladega would do? I mean, that would make that crowd electric. But I would love to see them return next year for the Daytona 500, possibly with Allgaier, maybe with one of their other Xfinity guys that they want to give a shot to. But again, I think that team should be back. Then we get to Chris Buescher, again, just another driver who had a fairly quiet day, didn't actually lead a lap. A lot of the day he was spent basically, again, similar to Ryan Blaney, he spent most of his day basically connected with Ryan Preece, and Ryan Preece ultimately was able to lead several laps in conjunction with the 17. But again, it just doesn't feel like the 17 really did anything, but just ended up top 10 at the end of the day. Again, solid quiet run for Chris Buescher. Speaking of solid quiet runs, Michael McDowell, one of my favorite drivers, again, um, pulling off what was a crazy through the dust move that I feel like is going to get forgotten in all the controversy. He came through the middle of 2 or 3 of those wrecks fairly unscathed. Again, a very quiet day. He did lead 4 laps in the cycle of pit stops and stuff during the rain delay, but ultimately he didn't really ever make a real noise towards the end of the race, and I was so hoping to see Michael McDowell go ahead and get that one, but he had a nice solid top 11 day. Eric Jones coming home 12th. Again, another Toyota driver that they just could not seem to get it in line, and I think he got collected in that final lap melee, so not sure exactly where he finished. Again, all these finishing positions are unofficial as far as I'm aware. Daniel Suarez coming up 13th here, and his status at Trackhouse is in major questions after Pitbull stepped down as a team principal effective immediately. So Suarez, who's on the last year of his contract, is going to be under immense pressure these next couple of weeks. I think he had a very good run at Daytona. The next 2 weeks, Atlanta and Circuit of the Americas, are going to be 2 very big races for him to try and prove that, hey, I belong on this team. Don't replace me with Connor Zilic, at least not yet. So again, hoping for that for Daniel Suarez, because I think he's a really good driver and most importantly a really good dude, and I would hate to see him get moved out of the Cup Series just because there happens to be a younger guy waiting in the wings. Speaking of drivers who got moved out of the Cup Series because there were younger drivers waiting in the wings, Ty Dillon gets in the number 10 car, actually ran a fairly respectable race, came back from a couple of laps down after getting some damage in a glancing blow in one of the early wrecks. He ended up clawing back to a top 15 finish, and honestly, very impressive for Ty Dillon. Good opening drive there in the number 10, and glad to see him back in the Cup Series after a number of years away. I think those years away will have taught him a lot. I think he did a lot of learning there, especially in that Truck Series season last year. So, and then rounding out the 15 drivers on the list, we also got Chase Elliott, another driver who just had a really quiet day inside the top 10, top 15 conversation, but never really led a lap. He led 2 laps, but he never really led much of the race. Doesn't feel like he really did much throughout it. So, those are your top finishers. And again, just wanting to kind of do that final recap of the race. It was just insanity all the way through. I actually quite liked this Daytona 500, and if this would have been, say, Denny Hamlin winning his fourth Daytona 500, while I know very few people really love Denny Hamlin, I would have absolutely been fine with a Denny Hamlin win if it had been Austin Cindric. Again, not the biggest Austin Cindric fan in the world at all, but those two guys I think had proven and made very strong cases for them to win. And honestly, if as I say, if Custer had made the great move to move up in front of Byron and ride the momentum to victory, absolutely no problem. And again, this is nothing against William Byron, but just the way that this race feels. Yeah, in at the end of the day, a lot of people are going to walk away with this one questioning: did William Byron even really deserve that one? He just got lucky that Custer went and took out all the competitive cars on the final lap. So again, it's just a weird one, but I actually quite enjoyed this Daytona 500. Hopefully you guys did too. And if you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you guys are new, so you guys don't miss any future videos or live streams. Also, comment down below and let me know what you guys thought of this Daytona 500. Certainly would love to hear your guys' opinion on it. But until next time, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next video, live stream, whatever you guys decide to do with the rest of your night. Have a great night, everybody, and goodbye.